Hi there, and welcome back to the Gear4music Synth and Tech channel. My name is Rick, and today we are joined by legendary producer Steve Levine. Thank you for joining me.
My pleasure.
And what we're going to do today is we are going to introduce you to the world of audio engineering through the SubZero BASE-1 audio interface pack. But before we do that, for those at home that might not know who you are, let's go through some of your accolades and some of the things that you've done.
Well, I guess as a record producer, I'm probably most well known for my work with Culture Club. I produced their first 3 albums, but that included Do You Really Want to Hurt Me, Karma Chameleon, Time, Church of the Poison Mind, all their really big hits.
Yeah.
But since then, I've worked with so many different artists. Through the 90s, I worked with the group The Honeys, had huge success with them. And more recently, with my Baltic Jazz recordings, we've had great success with some new up-and-coming jazz and neo-soul artists.
Oh, wow. So you literally have gone from very pop to completely the opposite to like
I know,
a
it's
jazz
really
band.
fantastic at the moment because there's literally about to be a big reissue of the first couple of albums because Culture Club are back on tour playing those first albums. Those were done over 40 years ago, but I have brand new records on the A-list. So I'm really excited to have a 40-year career that has retro records and brand new.
Yeah, and I guess obviously in that it keeps your job interesting as well because you're changing different styles as well.
Well, the technology has changed enormously. So when I first started with Culture Club, it was 24-track, 2-inch analog recording. And even during the process of their career, we went from analog recording to digital recording to the beginnings of sampling with the Fairlight, and of course with the Honeys, we'd moved to ADAT and the very start of hard disk recording. And everything I do now is hard drive, and we use interfaces and everything.
Exactly. So it is much more of a in-the-box thing, or do you have outboard gear that you use as well?
I use both. I mean, certainly for capturing it, nothing has really changed in 60 years, even before I started. You know, it's still the very instant, a good microphone and a performance. Capturing that. The moment the microphone sees a different interface now, because you may have something like this, or you're going to tape. So the recording process is exactly the same as it has always been. It's just how you capture that sound. And of course, these days, how you manipulate that sound has changed enormously.
Yeah, with the use of plugins and that type of thing as well.
Absolutely. And I use both hardware and software.
Yeah, but I think in these days, obviously, it's a lot easier to jump into the world of recording because of the fact that they have audio interfaces and recording that is available more to the public. It makes it an easier place to jump in rather than obviously when I was starting out, it was more like I had to go to a recording studio specifically, but now I can do demos and stuff at home using audio interfaces. Just makes my life a lot easier.
You're absolutely right. And I think for the younger artists, musicians who want to become, perhaps songwriters or producers themselves, getting access to equipment at an early stage, particularly now with the prices coming down, that's really important. In my day, even the simplest things were thousands and thousands of pounds just to get started. So from that point of view, I guess it's made it much easier for everybody to get on board. But of course, everyone now has to be a sound engineer as well as a musician or a songwriter. Those were jobs that were always separate. In my day, the songwriters were the songwriters, the record producers were the record producers, and the sound engineers were the sound engineers. Now, you've got to be all of those things.
But I think also it can also be like a newfound thing. Like say, for instance, you are a singer-songwriter, but then you really kind of get your head into the production world. It might really might be a jumping block into a new territory.
I think it's true. If you look at great recordings and great songs throughout the many decades, often it's technology that plays a really integral role in the creation of a song. I mean, you could think of the Beatles, for example. The technology they had inspired their songwriting, and that's true of every generation. And with new equipment that's available, particularly with some of the great guitar pedals that are available, these new songwriters are inspired by sound, and that leads to great creation of great songs.
So you mentioned with the cost coming down, obviously, for recording equipment, and we've got the SubZero BASE-1 pack. I think it's really a perfect jumping off point when it comes to, audio engineering.
Yes, I think this is something that is really brilliant, particularly for somebody starting out. You don't want there to be a huge financial barrier in your creative process. So something like this is ideal, especially given you have the interface, headphones, and a microphone, and the cable. So you're kind of ready to go. So shall we unbox it and see what you get?
Let's see what it is.
Now, I have my very trusty cutting thing. I have cut my finger actually before, so I'm going to just take the seal off that and then we can see what's inside. So you've got your instructions on the back, and if we open the box here. Now, I've said this many, many times before to people. Read the manual. It's really important. So we start off, we do have a little manual here. It is really, really important. Don't just throw this away. So there's the manual. And let's have a look at what we have. So we actually have the interface itself.
Okay.
I'll take the plastic off. We can recycle all of this. Now, this is USB here, and we've got the 2 outputs on 1/4-inch jacks. And at the front, you've got your line or XLR in. So whether you're going to use a microphone or a DI box or jack or keyboard, for example. And excellent on here, guitar input. So for those that don't know, it's really important to get the impedance right, whether you're using a microphone or plugging a guitar direct in, and a headphone output here and power. So we just put this to one side in a second. As I mentioned on the box, got a really great mic. So, this is a fantastic microphone to start with. And it even actually does come with a little stand. So if you're a podcaster, you've got your desktop stand ready to go.
Yeah.
Really, really great.
Or even if you want to record maybe an acoustic guitar and you've got a desk.
Yeah, great for an acoustic guitar. If you're doing a vocal, you probably want to get it a bit higher, so probably put it on a stand.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Look, perfect for a guitar. Comes with the XLR cable, which is fantastic. Also comes with the very important USB cable for connecting there.
Yep.
And a pair of headphones.
Excellent. So it's a really compact package as well.
And it even includes Steve Levine tip number 1.
Okay.
The silica gel. I collect these.
Okay.
And I put them in various things like tins, or you get the best set of shakers that you can have. So collect about 4 or 5 of those, put them in a little tin, and you can get some fantastic. So you can get a bit of free percussion with it. Okay. So that's the setup. I'll now get the box out of the way and we'll set it up with my laptop.
Okay, excellent.
So as I mentioned, everything you need to know is in the little booklet, so don't throw it away, but I'm going to show you how to set it up in real time.
Excellent.
So we start with the interface, which is a USB connection. Now it comes with a USB to normal standard USB at the other end. So this is a silicon Mac, so it's on Thunderbolt and USB-C, so it needs an adapter. So we can plug that into there, and it lights up immediately.
Ready to go.
That's a really great sign. I mean, fantastic, instant compatibility. Draws the power from there. I've plugged my laptop in as well, because obviously if you're using an interface, it's really important you plug it in because it'll drain the battery quite quickly. Next up, we've got a XLR cable, and that's ready to go, so we can plug that into the microphone. I've put it on the little stand, and obviously you can adjust depending on what you're doing. You mentioned about an acoustic guitar. If you're doing a podcast, I'd probably recommend a pop shield, either a foam pop shield, or you can make your own using a stocking and a hair, a coat hanger, or
I've used one of those before,
or the hair accessories, the little round things. Any of those work. It's just some screen between you and the diaphragm of the mic. So, and then that would obviously plug in there if we're going to record a microphone input. If we're recording a guitar, we could go into the high Z here, ready for guitar input. That would be an acoustic piezo guitar or an electric guitar.
Okay.
And if we are using a keyboard, depending on the age of the keyboard, more modern keyboards are line out, so they would actually go directly into there.
Because it's a combi jack.
Correct, a combi jack. If it's a more vintage keyboard, you might find it sounds better going into there. It just really depends on the age of it.
Okay.
And obviously,
it's not going to damage it if you try either one.
No. And the great thing about a combi jack is they're really robust. I mean, they'll take anything. So that goes in there. And obviously the headphones. We won't use the headphones for the moment. Now, this particular product needs a DAW. It is available. Gear4music have set up with Bitwig, so you can have a download of Bitwig. So if you have no software at all, you can use that free of charge.
Excellent.
There are also lots of free versions of things. So for example, if you're on a Mac, you can use GarageBand, which is free, and there's a low-level entry Pro Tools available. There's lots of free software. I'm using Logic on this, but the most important thing you need to do first of all is to set up the computer to receive this. Okay. So in most cases, as you saw, it lit up immediately, so the computer knows it's there. We just have to make sure in the audio devices of the software we're using that it's seeing the interface. So let me just load up Logic.
So we've got everything connected. Can you talk us through the setup?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I've put my glasses on so I can see what's going on here.
Sure.
And as I mentioned earlier, everything is in this very handy little manual. So don't throw it away, but we'll go through everything more clearly now.
So you've already gone through it, so you can let us know your
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this laptop is the newer generation Mac. So it's got the Thunderbolt USB-C. So I need to use a hub just to connect the USB here. So that's ready to go. And now we've plugged the microphone in and I've opened Logic up. Now also, one of the things I use a lot, and I highly recommend this, is I prefer to use a trackball.
Okay.
The reason I prefer to use a trackball, and I'm just going to plug that into the same interface, is that because, when you do a lot of vocal editing, I find that you can get, particularly with mice or these trackpads, you can really end up hurting your hand.
Okay.
I like this. Plus, I'm able to add some really great little screen quick commands. So it means you can move around much, much faster.
Okay, cool.
The very first thing we do with Logic or any DAW is you need to check the audio settings.
Okay.
So in Logic, essentially, you go to settings and you go to audio and you check that the SubZero is there. Now, it's on system at the moment, so I'm just going to click that to SubZero for in and out.
Okay.
That now means input will be SubZero, headphones will be SubZero, and I'm pretty much good to go. And that applies to any of the software that you might use, whether it's Pro Tools, GarageBand, the free Bitwig, whatever you want.
Okay.
And that gives it to you. Just incidentally, now it's all powered up. As I mentioned, this is a condenser microphone, so this requires phantom power.
Okay.
And there's a little switch here to give it phantom power.
Okay, there we are.
Very important. If you're using a dynamic mic, you don't need that.
Okay.
And as I mentioned before, the switch here is for the guitar input or keyboard input. It just switches between high and low Z. Really important. I would argue that that's also a color choice, because when you plug your synthesizer in particular, you should A, B and see which you prefer, because changing the impedance will change the color of the input sound. And you might find you actually prefer it with the higher impedance versus the line input. Your choice entirely. Great thing here. Look, you can see that the microphone is picking up on here. It's got like a little level meter. That's just a fantastic additional guide. So you can tell as we're speaking, look, you can see it's obviously working.
Yes, straight away. So now that we're all connected, pretty much you just have to arm the track and you're ready to
and you
record.
can see the level is showing clearly here. So if we were to literally just go into recording Logic like that, and we said, hello, 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 you can see that it's recording perfectly fine. Depending on what screen resolution you want, you can zoom in a little bit bigger.
Okay.
Down there. But, look, we're clearly, and obviously one would need to double check the level to check it's
So have you got any tips and tricks about maybe setting the gain and just recording techniques?
I think the most important thing before you get too far into the creative process, we've just done that. I would argue that you would record a few seconds and then just listen back to it to check your level, to make sure you're not overshooting it.
Yep.
Again, if you're doing a vocal, highly recommend a pop shield. If you're doing an acoustic guitar, for example, you would be, a foot away from the mic. Do a quick level check to make sure everything's okay. A lot of the software packages now do have recording chains ready to go. So again, if you're not so experienced, you could probably try one of those basic recording chains.
Okay.
Have a look on all the software. It says, I'm going to be recording acoustic guitar, I'm going to record a voice, whatever. And then you can go from there.
Cool. So it's making it easier. Realistically, it could be used for people that are just wanting to start their audio engineering journey or their production journey, or really someone just needs something that's nice and small and can just get them started right away.
Well, the beauty of this works at a absolutely beginner level right the way through to professional. I mean, from a professional level point of view, it's fantastic because it's so light. I mean, literally with the laptop on that in your bag, you're good to go. So even if you're a seasoned pro and you want to capture something like that, this is a great little setup. It needs no further power because it's being powered by the computer. And if you really do want to do something quick, I know I said for songwriting and recording, you should have it plugged in because it will drain the battery. But if you just need to capture something really quickly, you'll easily get half an hour out of it.
So, I mean, I find it really interesting that obviously you as a producer, you've gone through from using, bigger studios and tape, and now realistically it's all kind of through technology has come down to something so, small and easy to use and accessible to anybody.
Well, the technology has changed over the years that I've been doing it. I mean, I started when I was 17 as a sound engineer, when it was analog tape. In fact, when I started, it was only 16 track. But as technology has moved on, we've increased the track count. And now from, the last, 5 or 6 years, the leaps have been incredible. Not only have we had leaps in audio quality, most recording devices now record to a level of quality that was unachievable even a few years ago for thousands of pounds. So now it can be done for a few hundred, which is incredible. And in a case like this, even under 100. So it is amazing what can be done with the quality. The other thing that is also brilliant now is with the various plugins that are available, the tools that are enabling, they allow someone that doesn't have a lot of experience to become a very good sound recording engineer. And as we're moving forward to AI, we have some incredible developments there where there's tools that really help people. So even people with disabilities now that may not be able to use, an actual keyboard, they can now create music for the first time because the AI tools enable them through either speech or other devices to input musical input. It's fantastic.
So it's making the world of creating music available for literally every single person.
It's so accessible now. Literally anybody can create music. Doesn't mean it's all good, but it means everyone gets the chance. And I think that's the most powerful thing because everyone has a story to tell. Everyone has a great message. So to create music, this shouldn't be an inhibition. This should be something that enables you straight away. And so all the tech companies, all the software companies, they're really enablers now, which is fantastic.
You're not getting bogged down in the technical side of things. You can literally just create and just give every part of you to your recording.
Well, look at this. This took literally seconds to set up. And as you can see, we are ready to record. We could record a song now straight away. Less than a few minutes. That's really important because it used to be days and days and days of setting things up and putting drivers on, putting the software on. We still have problems, but generally speaking, this worked first go.
So this is the BASE-1 pack, and it's perfect for a singer-songwriter or a podcaster, but there are other additional packs that you can get which maybe will be more beneficial for other people?
Yes, as I said, if you're a singer-songwriter and perhaps you're playing acoustic guitar, you could use the microphone for your voice. That would pick up a small amount of the acoustic guitar if you're playing live. And then I would suggest that you plug if your guitar has a piezo pickup, you would plug that in there and record onto 2 tracks.
Okay.
That's a good starting point. But there's some things that maybe would be enhanced. So you could go the next level up.
Okay.
And the next level up gives you a professional pop shield. And also, one of the things that comes up time and time again when people send me demos, they sound like they're recorded in a kitchen or an apartment. And that's because of the reflection. Now, we're in a room that's well soundproofed. And so if I clap my hands, that's a nice dead sound. That's kind of what you want to go for. If you're in a bedsit or front room or something that just has really bad reflection, then you need to get rid of that. So the next level up comes with a reflection filter. So that would go behind the microphone to really kill some of the reflections. That's fantastic. So that's the next level up. That's a good starting point. But of course, you'd be restricted to listening on headphones. If you want to go the next level again, then there's the third setup, which allows you to have speakers and all of the microphone and the stand and everything else. So that's like a complete setup.
Excellent. So realistically,
so 3 levels.
Yeah, at every step of the way, there is something that can be for everybody there.
But even on the basic level, you absolutely can record something to an incredibly high professional standard.
Excellent. So there you have it. There is the BASE-1 SubZero audio interface. And thank you so much, Steve, for taking us through that.
My absolute pleasure.
No worries. If you do want to see more content like this in the future, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. My name is Rick. This is Steve. We'll see you next time.